Our guest this week on This Is America is Ambassador Mohammed Al Hussaini Al Sharif. He's the ambassador of the League of Arab States to the United States and former ambassador of Saudi Arabia to Canada, as well as former ambassador of Saudi Arabia to Turkey.
Accepting the others is the main problem. Tolerance is the main problem. To what degree tolerance you will apply here or there, it's again another problem. Accepting the other is not easy for someone who was in that area and he never left abroad and never mingled with other people.
Yeah.
So this is what you need is really through media, through education is very important. Education within each country should be really teaches tolerance, teaches accepting the others. It's a very important. Really what you need, you have to put these ideas of tolerance in education at a certain, yes.
Right from the
this
beginning.
is a very important, and I found it, I mean, it's important. My children, they remember things I taught them when they were small, but they don't remember things now, which is really very interesting that we start with, now in some Arab countries, they are changing the curriculum. They are changing so many things, which is, of course, it's a very good idea and it's very realistic. I mean, they think that it's a time to change, time to put tolerance there, accepting the others there, dialogue among
Because
people.
all the three big religions, the Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, all preaching tolerance, right? Loving
They
each
have
other.
almost the same values, but the problem is with man himself, with the actions of men, implementing the values of this. I mean, there are certain people who belong to religions, they are dehumanizing their values of their religion by their actions and their behaviors.
What were you taught when you were a kid about other people? What were you taught about Christians, about Jews?
No, our books don't have that. I mean, as far as I remember, it was really as a Muslim country. You know, I am from Saudi Arabia,
Yes,
maybe,
sure.
for your audience.
Yes.
But we didn't anything have on that. But we didn't have anything against them.
No, like in your home, in your family, was it?
No, it's not. You know, it depends also on the level of education, on how much education they had. It's all this. Now it's changing. Now, I mean, you have Saudi Arabia. You know, for example, I talk about my country. You have hundreds of thousands of students abroad.
Yes.
Now you have in the United States, now, at this moment, 60,000, more than 60,000. We have more than 100,000 students. This, of course, over the years, we had 50, 30,000 here. I mean, hundreds of thousands. Those people, when they go back, they go back and they take some of the values of tolerance and accepting the others with them. Which really good thing. But here it comes. When it comes to politics, it's something else. Let's say when we come to the United States, for example, policies. And when you have 60,000, they watch the United States policies and vetoes after vetoes vis-a-vis the Palestinian issue. What do you expect of those when they go back? They have nothing against the American people, but here are the policies are there. You feel really bad about how come this country. I studied in Houston. I finished my PhD. I learned in the United States tolerance, accepting the others, freedom of expression, rule of law. When it comes to the Palestinian issue, all of these are disregarded. What do you expect me what to do? And this is an educated person is talking to you. The ordinary man in the streets, can he analyze this? Can he think that, no, this is not the United States, it's not the Americans? It's not, that shouldn't be that, I shouldn't generalize. How many people can analyze this and can say that? You see? So here again, I'm not saying that terrorist actions or so are justified, no. But policies of certain countries also can affect actions of many people, especially those who don't have that tolerance, cannot question things, cannot analyze things, the way we do now.
So underline that for me in red. What is there in the U.S. policy that specifically is offensive to Arab leaders in the Arab world?
There is nothing except that the Palestinian issue. Their position on the Palestinian issue, and not only for the Arab countries.
So what do you see?
The Palestinian issue is an issue not only for the Arab, it's for 1.5 billion Muslims throughout the world. And by the way, I will tell you something. You don't have to be a Muslim or Christian or a Jew to be pro-Palestinian or to think with the Palestinian, and you think that was just to be a fair human being.
Hold on that note. We're going to take a little break. When we come back on the other side, I want to get very specific about what is the view of the U.S. position vis-a-vis Palestine. Sit tight. We're talking with the ambassador who represents the League of Arab States in the United States. Sit tight. This is America and the World. This is America is made possible by the National Education Association, the nation's largest advocate for children and public education. Punsan Corporation, forging a higher global standard. The CTC Foundation, AFO Communications, and the Rotendaro Family Trust. If you are just joining us this is a continuation of a program, of a conversation, a long conversation I'm having with the ambassador who represents the League of Arab States, Dr. Mohammed Al Hussaini Al Sharif. He is representing the League of Arab States. We have had a half-hour conversation, and we are continuing, so we invite you to go to our website and check out the first half if you missed it. Mr. Ambassador, help me understand and help our viewers to understand very clearly, as the Arab leaders, Arab League, Arab people see the United States' position in vis-a-vis Israel and Palestine. What do you see? What is our position?
I see, of course, a biased position vis-a-vis Israel. They are pro, I mean, it's always they take the position. The Israelis, sometimes you think that the Israelis dictate what the United States do in the United Nations, vote this or not to vote this. You have more than 40, 45 vetoes the United States have taken vis-a-vis the Palestinian issue in the United Nations. The only country, maybe, and Israel, and the Security Council. I mean, how do you explain this to the Arab world and to the peace-loving people everywhere? What is going on in Palestine? Nobody would accept. Nobody, of course, would think that can be accepted by a nation who suffered the Holocaust, that they can do something of like that to the Palestinians. Maybe not the same, but anyway, the Palestinians are facing atrocities. Their lands is occupied. They have been under occupation for more than 60 years. No nation on the earth has been that long in occupation. And yet, you don't expect the man in the Arab world, in the streets, or in the Muslim world to be silent. And actually, it shouldn't be a Muslim or an Arab. Anyone would not accept that. I would not accept a suffering of a Jew the way the Palestinians is suffering. No way. I would not accept it. I would not condone any atrocities against any people anywhere, whether it's an Arab or non-Arab. I will not accept it. That's why when I told you that you don't need to be a Jew or a Christian or a Muslim to support the Palestinian people under occupation, but just be a fair human being, fair one. That's enough. And we don't ask the United States to take a position of the Arabs. We never ask that. We understand. Just be fair and just when it comes to this issue, which is really a burden now. It's even our development is hindered by this issue in the region. We are trying. I mean, you know why? This cost us a lot. This issue, the suffering of the Palestinian, and of course, I don't. Maybe now, with the Arab Spring, it's coming. Perhaps the United States and the Israelis will think twice now about what's going on. I observed since I came now in the last 5 months, there is some change. Some changes in the policies of the United States.
What do you see?
In dealing with the Arabs.
What do you see?
For example, and even the pro-Israeli and the lobby here, For example, you have now Jewish votes. I don't want to say Jewish votes. They say pro-Israeli votes, because you can be pro-Israeli whether you are Jew or not Jew. I mean, but there are Jews and non-Jews, pro-Israelis here in the United States, who really now they are talking about that the policies of Israel in the occupied territory, it's really against the democratic values of Israel and Judaism. And not only that, they think that what's going on in Israel now is threatening Zionism itself. I mean, I remember I attended a lecture here. Benami, the head of the Mossad at the time, he said, our major threat is not, our greatest threat is not Iran and its nuclear program. It's the vanishing of Zionism. And I asked him, I mean, when I told him, since you are worried about Zionism, here you have a peace plan of the Arab world. Of 2000, the Arab peace plan of 2002 in Lebanon. The establishment of two states, Israeli and Palestinian, and then the Arab will normalize relationship with Israel. This is the plan is there. It was accepted by the United States, by European Union, by all the Arab countries for the first time, and by the international community at large. It's only rejected by Israel. So what is it then?
What do you think the fear is?
I don't know. You ask them why they fear. They are the most powerful nation, and the United States is obliged, is committed to make Israel stronger than all the Arab countries combined. And this is, they said it, and we know it. It's not a secret. And yet, the United States have the best relationship with Muslim countries.
Israel has nuclear power?
I mean, this is, I think it's not a secret. Everybody knows that.
What would happen if Israel launched a strike against Iran?
Do you think that they will do it in their own?
I'm asking you.
No, I mean, because I don't think they will do it in their own. Of course, if this will be, I mean, with coordination with the United States, I don't think they will do it on their own. With all this noise, they are saying that it has the right to defend itself. It's all this I don't digest. The United States has to be there. It has to give the green light, if ever. This is not a game, I mean, going nuclear or hitting or attacking another country for this program.
When the United States and the President, Obama, says we will not allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon, is that a sound policy?
Now I don't take anything the President say now seriously, or I cannot even discuss that with you because I know it's only 5-6 weeks before the election. So we have to wait.
But I think he's been saying that for a long time.
Yeah, again, it's still, they say a year of election. A year before the election, why not? He's still, I mean, so let's wait and see what's going to happen after November. And but you know, the foreign policy is not always, I mean, the same thing. It changes with time, with developments, with interest.
Are you optimistic that there could be some kind of forward momentum there?
I think
Israel, Palestine, Israel, Iran.
I think now, you know, this is what's going on in the Middle East, in our region now. This Arab Spring, what they say Arab Spring, although
great hope with the Arab Spring.
This will be also, I don't know whether it is time is for the benefit of Israel in the long or short run when it comes to the Arab world. If we are going to have leaders like those leaders who took over now in those countries, and maybe some others will come later, those leaders will be accountable to their, for the first time maybe in those 5 countries, to their populations. Once they are accountable to their populations, they will take, of course, the attitudes and the sentiment and the feelings of their people into consideration. And no one in the Arab world will accept what's going on in Palestine. So the Arab leaders, it will be it's coming in a way that the Arab leaders will not accept it, because they respond to, and there is now will be more linkage between the domestic policy and foreign policy.
You were born and raised in Saudi Arabia?
Yes.
Tell me about your mom and your dad and your family.
I mean, what do you want to want to know about them?
What did your dad do? What did your mom do?
Yeah, he was educated.
Brothers and sisters?
He was educated. He was in the Ministry of Finance at the time. I mean, the
brothers and sisters.
Brother and sisters. I have 6 brothers and sisters, 3 and 3, and they are educated now in the universities.
You studied at home?
I studied high school in Saudi Arabia, and then I went to Lebanon on scholarship to the American University of Beirut. Then I finished my Bachelor of Arts there in Political Science. After that, I joined the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I went to the Philippines.
What drew you to foreign service?
What?
What drew you? What was attractive to you to go into foreign service?
It's destiny, actually. I was going to Aramco, and I was taking my ticket to go to Dahran from Jeddah, and I met a colleague of mine in the street, and they said, "Where are you going?" I told him, "Oh, where are you?" He said, "I graduated from University of Riyadh." I said, "I'm going to work with Aramco." He said, "Why do you go to Aramco? Stay in Jeddah here. The ministry, they have competition, some diplomats, they need some diplomats, and you speak English, go." So I went there. I was accepted in the ministry, so I forgot about the, it's a destiny, really. I didn't decide to go.
I
never thought I will go to the foreign service, but it happened.
So Lebanon, Philippines, Houston. You ended up in Houston.
Yeah, Houston, and then of course I worked in Africa in Bamako, and then I worked in Caracas, Venezuela. I worked in Turkey as ambassador, Canada as
you were
ambassador.
ambassador from Saudi Arabia to Turkey.
Yes, and to Canada.
And then ambassador from Saudi Arabia to Canada.
To Canada, I was deputy head of mission in London. I mean, I went everywhere.
Let me ask you this question: having been in Canada, how do you see the difference between Canada and the United States?
I don't want to be undiplomatic in this, but of course I have admiration to the United States. I told you I learned a lot from the United States. And Canada struck me as a tolerant country that I have never met any country in the world. Yes, tolerance there. I mean, nobody will bother you there. You don't feel segregation, because everybody is not a Canadian there. I asked the governor one day, governor of province there in Canada. I told him, I mean, you have a governor of the country who's a refugee from Hong Kong, and she's a governor now. How come? He said, "Mohammed, we are all boat people." And he's, by the way, he's originally from England. But he thinks still that this country is really a mosaic of different nationalities, maybe more than 120, 130 nationalities. So, so that's why the Saudi students who are there are now 20,000 Saudi students there. They feel very comfortable there.
Would they not feel the same comfort in the United States?
Maybe not as there. Canada is unique. A
little bit more tolerant.
I think,
than the United States?
I think they don't bother with the others. The way you speak, the way you eat, the way you look, the way you pray.
But we're a nation of immigrants as well.
Yeah,
huh?
but not as much as Canada, I think.
Is that right?
I don't think so.
What advice do you have for young diplomats? I mean, let me ask you this question. You've done all of this incredible service for your country, and now here you are representing the League in the United States. What's the biggest lesson you've learned in your life so far? That
I should be patient. I should listen more than I speak, although you let me speak more than I listen to you. And really, the most important was it's really I learned how to accept others, and I learned that respect is the cornerstone of tolerance.
Respect is, yeah.
If you respect somebody, you would like to know about him, you would like to help him, you would like to care. And really, respect is very important and I learned this is now, I accept the others more than any other time in my life. At this stage of my career, I don't take things for granted, but I question things and I analyze things. I look for justification for others, for the behaviors of others. Why? I have to. And that's why you become really, and you become more comfortable with yourself even when you reach that stage. And I always advise the diplomats that they should not take things for granted. They should question and analyze things. There should be some skepticism, to tell you the truth. This will help a lot about things.
Skepticism.
Yes. Don't take things for granted. You have to ask, oh no, how come this one? Oh, I have to, although of course this can have some disadvantages, but I'm talking about myself. I have to be, sometimes some ideas I have to be skeptical about them. I have to be sure what's going on. I have to be, if I am not sure, then I have to think twice.
What would you like to achieve here as ambassador representing the League?
Here, I think it's my wish that I will reach the people in the streets and in schools and universities, as many as I can. Those are the ones whom I think although the American society is receptive, they listen. I was surprised. In Canada, they would listen, of course, but here I found also it's almost the same. When it comes to listening, they want to know.
Yes.
This is good. Now I am reaching the universities here. I mean, I met high school in my office. I talked to them. They are young people who are really great. I mean, their questions, I was surprised at the way the education they have reached. This was not in our time.
Yes.
Now they are too young, I mean, for them to have master and PhD. And yet the ideas, the questions they ask, I mean, they are very, very receptive and they are very smart. And I have to reach those people who are ready to listen to me. And I also give lectures to some universities here. I will move to other states. To anyone who asks me to speak, I will speak.
When we went a couple of years ago and went to Egypt, Jordan, Qatar, the UAE, and Oman, and one of the things that I walked away from is the warmth and hospitality of the Arab people cannot be denied. If you go, if you travel, if you give it a try, travel is a wonderful thing, isn't it? Opening up people's eyes and listening to folks like yourself.
Sometimes we exaggerate, anyway, our hospitality, really, but this is our tradition.
Yes.
Wherever you go, yes, that's correct. You are right. I mean, sometimes it's exaggerated, but you cannot help it. I mean, it's there.
But it was so open, and you're always being invited for a cup of tea, a cup of coffee.
Oh, yes. This is, I mean, if you go to any home, any house, they cannot let you go without eating something, drinking something. No way. This is really, and we are glad that we have that tradition. It's very important to us.
We have just a couple of minutes left, Mr. Ambassador. I want to ask you about the recent meetings at the United Nations, how you see the United Nations and effectiveness, strengths, weaknesses, and for yourself, what came out of it that we should know about.
This session, really, the 67th session, it's very clear that the Syrian issue, the crisis, dominated all the meetings, everywhere, of course. And again, I think the Syrian crisis have reflected that it's about time that the Security Council or the United Nations Charter should be reformed. There must be some reform. I mean, you cannot allow one nation like Russia or China to veto such resolutions, which are really mainly humanitarian and protecting a nation from suffering and atrocities and violence and killing. One or two countries, by using the veto, cannot decide the fate and destiny of another population like the Syrians or the Libyans or whatever. This should not be the case. So reforms should be really there in the United Nations. But still, the United Nations has advantages. It's a stage and arena that small countries and great powers, they are almost the same. I mean, they can speak and everybody is listening to them, which is great. Again, it's also, the session is also a good time for small nations and other nations to discuss and exchange ideas. Just being there is enough, I mean, and talking and to each other. And this is what we want, dialogue. This is what we need for the peace and stability of our region and the world at large.
Mr. Ambassador, we live in very exciting times, do we not?
Thank you, yes.
Are you optimistic?
So. Oh, yes, I am sure, I am sure.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
For information about my new book, The Chance of a Lifetime, and online video for all This Is America programs, visit our website, thisisamerica.net. And now you can follow us on Facebook. This is America is made possible by the National Education Association, the nation's largest advocate for children and public education. Punsan Corporation, forging a higher global standard. The CTC Foundation, AFO Communications, and the Rotendaro Family Trust.